Gurudev Bala. Bala.
Uh, Good afternoon, Anand sir.
Good afternoon.
This is Sridatta from IGBC Hyderabad. So we'll start at 3:05 or 3:10. So we will be waiting for a couple of participants to join. Is it okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Anand. Good afternoon, sorry.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Anand sir, we will start from now. So I'll just give a basic intro of the day to all our participants. So welcome everyone. Welcome to the day 4 of World Green Building Week webinar series. Till date, we have covered all the topics related to energy and also role of sustainable materials in building infrastructure and architecture. So on the day 4 today, we will be covering the smart technologies for carbon reduction in urban infrastructure. For today, our speaker will be Mr. Saurav Chaudhary, who is the counselor of Green Built Environment at IGBC. And I would like to introduce Mr. Anand Mishra, who is the chairman for IGBC Jaipur chapter, and MD for Trimurti Builders. So he's also into real estate development and hotels in Jaipur. So he is very passionate about green building practices and sustainable development. So he is very actively involved with CII in various programs and organizations. He is also a vice president of CREDAI Rajasthan and president for Tourism and Wildlife Society of India. He has written many articles which has been published in all the newspapers and magazines. And with his dedication towards sustainability, he has also planted over 50,000 trees in his various projects covering Rajasthan. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the day 4 of this webinar. So I would like you to deliver the welcome remarks and set the tone for the meeting today.
Thank you. So, should I start?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. We can hear you.
So thank you. So, my dear friends, a very good afternoon and warm welcome to the day 4 of this interesting webinar series organized as a part of the World Green Building Week.
Sir, we can't hear you, sir.
You can't. Is it okay now? Can you
Yeah,
hear?
it's okay, sir. It's okay, sir. We can hear you.
All right. So, my dear friends, I would like to welcome you to this webinar series. This is quite interesting, during the World Green Building Week, and I thank you everyone to be a part of it. And in this webinar, we'll be deliberating on smart technologies for carbon reduction in urban infrastructure. So this week serves as a powerful reminder of our collective responsibility to foster sustainable development in every facet of our built environment. And today's session reflects one of the most exciting and impactful areas in that pursuit, the integration of smart technologies to tackle urban carbon emissions. I would like to share my recent experience when I went for travel to France and Switzerland 2 months ago. So I was, pretty surprised to see, that hotels and a lot of buildings, new buildings especially, even showrooms and, cars, obviously, cars, buses, trams, everything, plus buildings, they shared their, carbon emission data. So it was very interesting to see. So now something that exists in the Western world today is obviously, but the India is leaping pretty fast. So it would not be. It would be, I would say, a matter of very few years that these things will be implemented in India also. So we are at a very we are in very interesting times as professionals, as industry. Because there are lots of opportunities, particularly relating to the any subject related to environment and particularly green buildings and the carbon reduction in urban infrastructure is a very important topic. So as we all know, cities today are the engines of economic growth, innovation, and societal progress. However, they account for over 70% of global CO2 emissions, driven largely by energy consumption, transportation, and infrastructure development. This presents a dual challenge. How do we continue to support rapid urbanization and economic activities while drastically reducing the carbon footprint of our cities? The answer lies in smart technologies. The theme of this session is essential: the rapid evolution of digital tools and systems, IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, smart grids, and data analytics are enabling us to transform urban infrastructure in ways previously unimaginable. These technologies are not just about making cities more efficient or connected. They are about creating low carbon ecosystems where energy is optimized, resources are conserved, and emissions are drastically cut. From AI-driven building management systems that automatically adjusts energy use based on real-time data to smart grids that distribute renewable energy more effectively, and intelligent transportation systems that reduce congestion and emissions. These innovations are already shaping the cities of tomorrow. Today's session will delve into the opportunities these technologies present and explore their role in developing carbon neutral urban infrastructure. Our speaker, Mr. Saurabh Chaudhary, counselor at IGBC, will share insights into the latest advancements and offer valuable examples of how cities worldwide are successfully implementing these solutions to reduce their carbon impact. As we embark on this important conversation, let's remember that our goal is not only to create smarter cities, but also greener, more sustainable ones that can meet the challenges of climate change while ensuring the well being of future generations. I want to thank you all for joining today and also encourage you to actively participate in this session. It will be inspiring and thought provoking. Together, let's unlock the potential of smart technologies to pave the way for a sustainable carbon neutral urban future. Thank you. So, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that wonderful welcome address, addressing all our attendees. So now I would like to introduce the speaker for the day. He's Mr. Saurav. He is Mr. Saurav, who is the counselor for Greenbuilt Environment at CII IGBC. Saurav, I would request you to take over the session for the day.
Thank you. Am I audible to the listeners? I hope so. I request Datta, can you just confirm I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Fine. So I will try to share my screen now. Is my full screen visible? Okay. So I'll just try to arrange this somewhere here. Yeah. So first of all, a very warm welcome to all the delegates who have joined us in this post-lunch session. And I understand that this is a very important topic as part of World Green Building Week, that we are also covering the infrastructure, the urban infrastructure. And the topic that I have chosen is basically addressing also the blue and green aspect apart from the smart. So first of all, as we are celebrating the World Green Building Week, which is celebrated across 90 plus green building councils across the world, and the theme this year has been given is the building the transition. As we are understanding that we are moving from a phase where we are carbon intensive, where we want to become not only low carbon, but we want to become completely net zero. So there's a lot of transition required. And then comes the technologies who are the warriors, I would say, in this entire movement to actually achieve that low carbon or net zero. So I am basically counselor in Indian Green Building Council with my background in education in terms of architecture and city planning. And today I will try to cover something related to whatever India has done so far. Collectively, you, me, and many of us who are there in the webinar today might have been contributing to these initiatives, which we as a council, Indian Green Building Council, are highlighting today. Yeah. As you can see, this is the center from where we all operate, the Secretariat of Indian Green Building Council, which is also not only the center of excellence specifically to green buildings, but this center of excellence is also an energy efficiency, green products, green companies, and climate change, and many other initiatives that are actually taking off from this center. This center was established in 2004, and that point of time, His Excellency late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam inaugurated this center. And you will not believe, when he came here, he was about to spend around 30 minutes to 45 minutes, but he spent 2.5 hours in this building, going around the whole building, understanding how this building has achieved the first green building status in the country. And then this building has created the entire asset classes of buildings which have going green today. So today we have 32 rating programs which to address the different asset classes. Let's say the residential, we have 4 different rating programs addressing the affordable, green homes, the green residential societies, the small tenements like the Nest. So there are multiple different typologies. This has been addressed by the IGBC, including the ratings like the green metros, green railway stations, green villages, to address the various built environment subjects also. So recently, last year, on 16th of Feb 2023, we have been privileged that we got the opportunity to have our Honorable President of India announce India's achievement of 10 billion square foot, 1,000 crore square foot going green in the country, which is definitely have a quantum impacts in terms of the carbon emission reduction and energy, water and waste and others. And in terms of the health and well-being also, you can see the photographs, how these are actually also looking at addressing the green and blue also, and as well as smart in all the infrastructure that has coming up. Looking at this, our Honorable Prime Minister has mentioned a quote in our publication, which came up as the Volume 4 edition, saying that environment and development are not contrary but complementary to each other, and together development process has to be holistic. Apart from this, honorable ministers have time to time have been given their support to this movement and wanted this movement to scale and take the entire country at large in terms of taking the infrastructure in a greener way, how we can design them greener, how we can construct them greener, how we can operate them in a greener and smarter way. So we also presented to Honorable Srimati Sita Raman Madam also recently this book, which covers many of the case studies of this IGBC landscape of green projects. If we look at the projects which are certified and functional, means you can visit these buildings, like 5,377 projects includes residential, stadiums, commercials, hospitals, and many of the categories. And these buildings are operating today. So when they're operating, you can understand that what is the impact they are creating is around 64.3 billion units of energy, almost equal to 4 times of the Mumbai's power requirement. The savings the movement is doing every year. So every year, this quantum of impacts are actually saved. The almost 200 billion liters water is saved, 50 days of supply of water to Mumbai, or 51 million tons carbon emission reduction, or you can say 51 million cars off the road for 1 year. Equivalent impact has been reduced. So now I would like to take you to a bird's eye view where we are not focusing on buildings alone, but let's focus on the city. And urbanization is a key phenomena of this century. We are aware about it. We are aware that world is going to be 60% urban by 2030. Today, if I talk about India, India is around 35% urban, and we are going to very soon touch 40%, 42% by 2030. So at that point, what is the world scenario is around 56% urban today. So it's increasing at a very faster pace. And 70% of this entire urban population, the city dwellers, you and me, many of us who are in the cities today, are actually contribute almost equivalent to 70% of the world's population who are living in the developing countries. So city dwellers, 70% of the city dwellers are in the developing countries. As we are saying, the Viksit Bharat as our major agenda and the major mission and the current context of Government of India, we also want to become developed in this transition phase. And 80% of the world's wealth is generated in the cities. You will not believe this is just 2% of the land area of the whole world that is contributing to 80% of GDP. So in Indian context, this is not 2% land area, but 4% land area, which is equivalent to cities. In recently, United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio, highlighted in his speech in June 2024 that every additional increment of global warming will bring in a lot of difficulties. Increment, I mean to say not 1.5, but 1.522, but it is 1.5 to 1.5001. For every minute fraction of change in temperature of the planet, as you can see that it goes from the green to yellow to red. So there are many more challenges which are going to come. There are but many more future opportunities also that we need to identify in this trend now. We are trying to bring it down to less than 1.5 degree. We know that it is not possible in the current context, but how we can delay this 2 degrees centigrade increase, that is what we're looking at, so that our risks should not hit us faster. So it is very important to build the transition. So in this context of World Green Building Week, I again reiterate the concept that we need to build the transition by taking right steps. Now, if you see this details, you can highlight, this is from the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP website. You can highlight, go and visit also. total emissions and the per capita emissions, country trends, by country data and notes. You can look into all these aspects and see the details. You can see that the trends, how it is increasing in Chennai, how it is at almost 12.7% of the global emissions in United States, and how it is a 7.3% in India. We maybe per capita emissions, we may be better considering to many other countries. But the thing is, we need to actually, looking at the large population size, we need to cut down our emissions also, looking at the building sector and transportation sector, which are the major contributing sectors. And then we know the agriculture industry are the other contributors. So we look into that, how we can address these. I will close hide window. Yeah. So this is the urbanization scenario in India and the expected impact. You can see the numbers, how it is increasing from around 37 crores to 60 crores, how it is increasing at a very steady rate. And then we need to focus on how we can address this urbanization and urban people, because they will need jobs, they will need food, they will need water, energy, and every requirement need to be met, including the housing for all. So there is a requirement that we need to met. So the good news is all the people who are in this webinar today, the architects, engineers, and the construction industry practitioners, we have good opportunities there, because we have to build. We have to build two more India. That is the kind of study says 70% of India is yet to be built. So in that context, we can see that around 41 billion square meter will be the size in terms of residential and commercial. Vehicle fleet is going to again increase to exponentially to the extent of 8.3%. Again, the power demand is going to rise by 7.1%, and cement demand, which is again going to rise at 8%. So all these aspects, in low carbon buildings, low carbon transport, we need a low we need to more of renewable energy opportunities and alternatives. We need a low carbon cement. All these areas, there are a lot of good work to be done, and that's why the sustainability and the stakeholders relevant to this are very, very keen in this current context. So if we see the 1.2 billion square meter, which is our 12 billion square foot of green footprint, which IGBC has today, is just 5% built up area, which has adopted the green approach for buildings in IGBC. So we can see there's a lot more footprint which has to go green, including the existing stock as well as the new stock. So new stock would maybe just 5 to 10% coming up. All of them has to go green. That is the percentage we can see. Many of the new building stock which is coming up in last 5 to 10 years have adopted the green practices. That is a good trend which is we can see. And the kind of this power demand, the 2% of annual demand, that will be the terawatt hour, 45 terawatt hour will be the energy demand reduction. So that has been achieved through these initiatives of green building rating. But now we need to also focus not at a building level, but at a city level. There has been discussions by G20 and also Urban 20. Urban 20 has got multiple summits which they did at different stages. One of them was in Ahmedabad, also in India, and rest of them were in different parts of the world, where the discussions have highlighted that cities will consume 75% of the world energy, 75% of emissions, again, it will bring back into the atmosphere, and they will be experiencing the highest climate change related impacts will be also be happening in cities. So if I put it in a nutshell, cities will be the cornerstone to achieve to fight against climate change. So it is we need to address cities, otherwise we will lose this battle of climate change in across the world. So this has been very clear. Now looking into that context, let's go one layer down. In these cities, we have something called infrastructure. Looking the power infrastructure, water infrastructure, we know the challenges that we are facing during the recent floods and other things. So approximately 70% of the global greenhouse gas emissions comes from infrastructure construction. Like when you are building the flyovers, building the large cities, new cities are coming up, or new logistic terminals are coming up, or airports. So power plants, buildings, and transport, these are the major contributions. So I will focus majorly on buildings and transport today. Overseas Development Institute estimates that around 720 million people will be pushed back into the extreme poverty by 2050 as a result of climate impacts. These numbers are very shocking, but I would like to put them forward. Again, we were saying that the number of deaths, which is attributed to the extent of 150,000 per year, will be going to 250,000 per year by 2030. That also is a big challenge due to this is the update from the World Health Organization. The good news is that you see in the brown color here, after 2010, there has been many favorable government policies, both direct and indirect, which are led to a surge of low carbon projects. So the low carbon projects are increasing. You can see many of the RFPs of the projects, they have started putting the requirement as green or sustainability in that. And it has increased from 3% before 2010 to 51% in the following years. So this is a good news for us that already the government policies are in place. And you can see that time to time, many of the policies have been revised also. Now let's look at the tree cover of the country. Today, our tree cover, if you look at the global context, it is 422 trees per person in 2021. In 2021, India number is 30 trees per person. So it's very, very low, 36 billion trees, but its population is also more than a billion. So you can see our population size is bigger. We may be doing equivalent to the land area. We may be growing more trees compared to other parts of the world, but we need to grow more because we have more population, we have more emission and other aspects also. Today's India's green cover, including the forests that we have, the huge chunk of forest in the northeastern part, the forests in the entire Himalayan belt, including all of them, we are meeting 24.6%. I feel it is very, very low. And if we look at the national forest policy, at one point of time, the focus was that we should try to meet 33% green cover, which has come down drastically to 24.6, including the forests now. So there's a lot of focus on urban biodiversity today. And talking about water, India's water crisis, if I tell you the big picture, India remains one of the largest water users per unit of GDP. That is one of the numbers that we can share with you. And if we see that what is water sufficient, what is water stressed, and what is water short, this is measured in terms of annual per capita availability of utilizable water. So if it is excess of 1500 cubic meter in a year per capita availability of utilizable water, then they are said water sufficient. But Indian context, we are at 1100 cubic meters available water per capita of utilizable water. So that is almost India is among the most water stressed countries in the world. You can see these photographs to also have a clarity that 1100 meter cube per person that we are having. So this goes and continues as usual, as a business as usual scenario. 21 cities will run out of groundwater in 2025. That is updated from the Niti Aayog. Also, Niti Aayog updates that 40% will have no access to drinking water in 2030, and 6% of GDP, which is very, very important for the country to become a developed country or Viksit Bharat, will be lost due to water crisis by 2050. So to address this also, we need to address at scale at a city level. Again, at a city level, this water which can be brought back to the system is the treated water. But the present treated water is only 30%. You can see 18,883 MLD. 70% is getting untreated and going and mixing in it with the rivers, lakes, and it's also polluting the aquifers. If it is closer to the water bodies and the villages, it is also creating health issues and sanitation issues in the villages. So this is from the CPCB report, India Water Portal 2023. 70% remains untreated. Talking about waste, again, we are generating around 180,000 tons of municipal solid waste per day. And can you believe it? Per ton, we spend around 24,000 rupees in terms of collecting and transporting and then putting it to the landfill site. So 24,000 rupees per ton we are wasting per day in terms of just managing the waste, in terms of just dumping to the landfill if it is not treated well. So if it is treated, definitely we can get some value out of it, that we say the circular economy. You can see the numbers in terms of the waste generation in the cities, from Gangtok to Leh, from the Panaji and many of the cities. It varies from like 250 grams to 1 kg to 1.2 kg. So this total MSW generated waste, I can say this is the trash bomb of India. This trash bomb need to be handled effectively. Otherwise, it will create a many health issues, which we observed during COVID also, that if the COVID goes away also, the scientists said that it can still stay in your waste and it can come back by polluting the water body, groundwater, or polluting the nearby ecosystem. It need to be tackled well. So National Task Force proposed so many of the waste to energy plants which are coming up in the many parts of the country. Apart from this, you can visit this document, Waste Wise Cities. It's the Niti Aayog's publication 2021. It covers the best practices in the country and city-wise, which city is doing good in transportation, good in collection, good in management of biodegradable, good in management of hazardous waste. All the examples are there for your reference. Now talking about something that IGBC has been doing in terms of certification for the large townships. We are doing more than 60 plus large townships which are spread across the entire country. And this focuses on how the new satellite townships are coming up, or the integrated township policies which are there in the many states, how we can make them greener. So these are some of the organizations which have taken up this initiative of making the entire township green. This is the photograph of Adani Shantigram, Ahmedabad. Similarly, Reliance Greens, Jamnagar. There is Mahindra World City in Chennai. There are many more projects you can also see here which have adopted this. Now, let's talk something about SMART. So SMART basically is the smart city model, which government has initially worked on it for the two stages in terms of the initial phase of 5 years, and then again continuing for the next 5 years. A lot of development has happened on the smart cities. And smart cities framework talked about how the it has to be activities can be taken at the urban local bodies level, in the city level. Well, the cities can be completely transformed in terms of the smart infrastructure. So you can see where the national body has been looking into the committees of secretariats, project monitoring unit, mission director, and the staff and the supporting staff. And there is a project management unit focusing on the implementation at a urban local body level. And there has been the major three areas: physical infrastructure, social infrastructure, and institutional infrastructure, which has been looked at in this smart city model, where these are the pillars of smart city. This is from the Lok Sabha Secretariat document, MOUD draft concept note on smart city. This has been captured from there. Now, let's look at it how IGBC planned to address these smart cities. When the smart cities initiative came up and the guidelines have been formed, we started discussing with the presence of our late chairman, Dr. Prem C. Jain. He visited the government of India and also discussed that why not make these as green smart cities. So we came up with this IGBC Green Cities guideline document for the greenfield cities, which has been adopted extensively in the country today. It takes care of all the large greenfield development. It addresses the MOUD guidelines and many frameworks and policies and programs of the ministry and the different world-class best practices, so that they can be implemented in terms of master plan and design. Then came the existing cities, which is on the policy programs and also master plan improvements. And then we have a rating program for the hill cities, like where we have 400 plus large hill stations in the country, how they can be made greener. We have a rating program. For example, if there is a city in like Dehradun, city like Shillong, Ooty, they can adopt this. Even the Kathmandu or many of the international cities, which are the capital cities of some of the hill countries, they can also adopt it. And this has taken care of all the best practices and the documents which are available in the country and across the world in terms of the guidelines and standards. So it is a very extensive document, all three of them. And it is only India as one of the few councils, green building councils in the world, which has gone beyond buildings and to the extent of large cities, and have been able to demonstrate documents which can be useful for the large cities. So today, 28 cities are going green in India. They have adopted this rating program, which include the greenfield cities, around 10 of them, existing cities, around 5-6 of them. And this list is not extensive. It is just an illustrative list. We have more number of projects which are going green. And these are meeting the national and international benchmarks and addressing the land, social, transit, air, energy, waste, and many different aspects as part of the rating program. Addressing that, as you say, in the carbon emission, how we can, the climate change, we are addressing both the adaptation and mitigation strategies. Now, if we look at the IGBC green cities, these are some of the green cities which have gone ahead, and they are in the process of certification, like Pune and Pimpri Chichwad Municipal Corporation, Rajkot Municipal Corporation. They are already gone ahead and have been certified once at a stage of 2023. They have been certified, and Pimpri Chichwad in 2024 they have been certified based on multiple policy interventions and the implementations they have done at infrastructure. It takes almost 1 year to 1.5 years to get the complete process, and involves more than 15 departments of the state to get into this exercise. Plus the industrial cities, aero cities, port cities. They have also, like Bangalore Aero City. We have a port city like the Kandla, which is India's first SEZ. They also adopted this. Now, if I say the green cities strategy, what is the major potential? If you put it in a nutshell, we need to address energy, water, waste, and carbon, all four of them, at a city level also. So if we talk about energy, Bureau of Energy Efficiency report highlights around 10 to 40% of electricity is consumed due to street lights in typical cities. So are we addressing this? This is just a glimpse of what is the opportunity. So there's an opportunity to address 40% of your electricity demand at a city level by only addressing street lights, by making them intelligent, smart street lights. And then again, water efficiency and alternative water. A city like Kanpur, Nagpur, which is almost 3 million population, generates around 10 crore liters of water per day. Can you believe it? 10 crore liters of water. That if it is not treated and effectively reused, we will become more and more water stressed. So it is required that we address this 28% water which is treated today, or 30% water getting treated, to go to an extent of 50 or 60%. We need to improve it incrementally. We need to plan for implementation, like Bangalore is doing today. Bangalore Water Supply Sewerage Board targets 100% wastewater treatment by 2025. Today, they are already at 75% of wastewater collected and treated. Water reduction and circular economy, you can see that urban local bodies, the cities, spend around 500 to 1,000 rupees per ton on solid waste management, with 70% of this amount spent on collection and 20% spent on transport. So there's a all the more important that we address this effectively, because it is not waste, but this waste, when it is going to a land, it is taking away the precious resource which cannot be recycled, that is the land. Land is the most scarce resource in the country today, and we know the land rates across the country, the kind of the cost which has exponentially increased in the last 10 years. Carbon reduction, there 60% of world population will live in urban areas. We talked about this number, so there is a huge opportunity to address carbon. So IGBC's Green Cities Assessment Matrix talks about cities' eco-vision, how we want this city to be, and the citizens wants this city to be in 2030 or 2025. Are we having some measurable goals and targets for land use, targets for green and open space, targets for mobility, targets for solid waste? So IGBC looks into multiple targets need to be set first. Then in land use, there has to be effectively utilization of land in terms of EWS housing, because we know that for every one HIG, we need 2 MIG, 3 LIG, and 4 EWS. Means there is a huge shortage in terms of LIG and EWS, and that is getting addressed by PMAY initiative also. Plus, IGBC also looks into it as part of the rating program of green cities, green buildings, policies, heat island mitigation, addressing the biggest killer in the world today, the heat stress, which is killing so many people in different parts of the country, because people are vulnerable. People are working, the construction workers, and many of them, they're working in open areas, and we need to address heat island at a city level. That also get addressed. Employment opportunities, health and well-being in terms of the green and blue in the city, and the waste need to be managed well in terms of also the air quality. Are we breathing a fresh air in the city? So those kind of points get addressed in the rating in the health and well-being. Sustainable mobility, how we are commuting. The most important is seamless transport. So how can we transport seamlessly in the entire city with the pedestrian, with the mass transit, with the bicycle integration? Are we more comfortable and seamlessly traveling? I think that is the question every common man asks. Fifth thing is the water energy infrastructure, that is basically into looking into that how we can optimize our demand. As I was showing you, the energy demand and water demand going to rise exponentially with the population size and the shortage of resources that need to be effectively handled. And looking into the smart aspects also, I will try to cover some large extent today, but this is majorly a snapshot where safety and security related initiatives, where we talk about the data center, cyber security, disaster recovery. Disaster recovery, I think, has been very prominent in recent times, because information is the key in the today's world. We need to understand where the flooding might happen, what are the hotspots where there might be issues related to air quality. So all these things, or the which part of the month of the year where we may have issues related to air quality, like in Delhi's and others. So that's all the more important. We need to understand it. Smart parking, smart bus stops, 24/7 desk for the infrastructure monitoring. These are some examples that you can see here, including the citizen services, because ultimately you may create world-class facilities, but if your citizen is not connected to the system through an app or through your mobile. Today, mobile is the only device which is actually connecting us to the entire world. So there has to be multiple apps for a city actually to manage the city, and also the city citizens can get some first-hand information. We know the COVID times when we could get the first-hand information on anything happening in the entire country, the best things, and then we could survive that whole thing. I think for climate change battle also, we need to focus at a city level. There has to be more detailed exercises where an individual can actually check his electricity bills of last month and the breakup of electricity bills, where the bills have been higher, where the bills have been lower, and the trends and the patterns and kind of details, so that people are more aware, and then this awareness will definitely build the ecosystem to become more better. Now, if I tell you some of the cities where IGBC has certified these cities, the kind of impact they are creating. The energy reduced in one of the city, in Sri City in Andhra Pradesh, we are reducing 8.2 million units per year, means 82 lakh units per year. You multiply with 7, and you can see the kind of numbers that you find here, and including the kind of rainwater storage and treated water reuse, waste processed in these cities, or carbon emission reduction in these cities. And if you see the number in terms of the crores that is getting saved per year, I would say it is approximately 150 crores to 200 crores per city. It is getting saved minimum. This is the minimum these cities are saved, because I am highlighting only LED and RE here. LED street lighting, as I was talking, this is 50% of energy. So only focusing on few aspects, it is contributing to this much. If we get into details, there might be 200 to 250 crores or even more these cities can save by going green. So this is the environment and economic impact, and these cities are actually highlighting it on their websites also, how these cities have become green city in 2017 or 2018, and over the years how these cities have been able to get many more accolades in the world in terms of many more awards also. So these cities are high performing cities. You will find these cities names what we have showed, the 28 cities, in many of the documents and documents also, and the ministries publications and best practices also. So city authority, when they go for a green city, the key advantages are they can address the key things which a common man need, that is related to the quality of life. If it is a good quality air, like in Delhi, we always say that the air quality need to improve, right? So that is related to the quality of life of people. So air quality improvement, urban green cover. The city with a good green cover, we always love that city because it will attract birds, butterflies, and then it will be more of ecosystem. And we say people live longer in those cities where we have more green cover. That has been scientifically proven also by many studies in those cities. Water efficiency, energy demand, waste, and e-governance. Now, coming to the sustainable technologies part of it, majorly, we have addressed that these green cities are world-class infrastructure. These green cities have smart governance. These green cities will have improved lifestyle, livable community, and economic opportunities. Ultimately, if you see, the government actually wants all these five. They want a smarter governance, and they want a lot of economic opportunities to come up. And it is all the more there when it is an industrial city. I think recently 12 industrial smart cities are also being announced. So I understand there's a huge opportunity that these demonstrate economic opportunities, world-class infrastructure and livable community, and also smart governance. So this is one example from Dholera city, which has been the first city certified in the country way back in 2016. And they have been able to demonstrate the key features of the city in the World Sustainable Built Environment Conference in Hong Kong, where no other city was able to talk beyond buildings or beyond certain neighborhood or township, but they have been able to demonstrate at a city level. What they did is they did a plug and play infrastructure. Because if you ask somebody, everybody will say whether I should lay the infrastructure or I should wait for the buildings. So that's a chicken and egg scenario, and it never happens. And then it fails, the city fails. The requirement is there has to be a trunk infrastructure laid for the whole city, and then has to be a plug and play for all the individual plot owners. And then you mandate them what you want at a plot level. There can be 4 different water connections, like is there in the Reliance MET SEZ that we have certified in Haryana, where every plot is mandatory to have 4 pipe connections. One is blue line, that is your potable water, which you will use for drinking and other requirements. Then non-potable applications, there will be a separate gray water given, treated water given, which will be used for landscaping and gardening. So you will be not given water for additional water for non-potable applications. You will be given a split up of 135 liters. Let's say if it's a residential, it is 135. It's a industrial, it may be 40 to 70 liters. But you will be only given that specific potable water in that city. So the trunk infrastructure has been laid in such a way that it is having 4 pipe connections with the stormwater and sewer, the remaining 2 in those cities. So there is very focused approach of smart metering, smart for energy and water, ICT integration, recycling 100%, and then again waste management to the extent of 100%. So these are some of the things you can have a glance in terms of a green smart city. Now, talking about transportation, you can see the numbers, how the numbers have gone, are going to grow. Business as usual scenario, 2 revolutions, 2 hour scenario, electrification plus automation, or 3 hours scenario where it can be electrification, automation, and sharing. I think this is the best picture which is going ahead now. Electrification plus automation plus sharing. The 3 revolution, 3 hour scenario is the requirement, where we can bring these car numbers to much, much lower. As I was talking today, that 55 million cars are off the road because green building projects, because every green building project of IGBC encourages you should have a public transport within a walkable distance of 400 to 800 meters. So because of that also, these projects are actually able to contribute to that, plus the overall emission reduction. You can see it has gone from 4,600 to 700 megatons. This is the approach that we need, where we need more of a shared approach. Now I think the big player in the room is today the shared mobility. Everybody has to address it. I think the global conferences today, which are happening across the world, are actually bringing shared mobility as a big subject in the room and talking about it in greater depth. How it has to be integrated, the mobility as a service, like the Ola, Uber, and all the different bike sharing systems, and all the different now e-mobility also. We can see that now there are e-cars pulling people from the airports, which is happening in Hyderabad also, the OMS or the many other aggregators. So we can see that there's a trend is coming up and they need to be addressed as shared mobility. In 2021, commuters have real-time access to more information, more options. And I would always give the example of COVID. COVID we won because of information. So today, information is the key for winning against any calamity or any epidemic also. So information need to be distributed in the right context and to make it more seamless. So automation, sharing, and electrification and digitalization, it will be the four pillars to address the transportation in a correct way. And more technologies and services will lead to more consumption of space and time. You know, the data centers are increasing today. We need more space. Everybody's phone is full of data. We need more space. So we may have a problem at one point of time if we not do integration. So it's all the more important that all the transports and things are integrated. Looking at this picture of mass transit facilities and the unified ticketing, I think today we are talking about a card which can be used for shopping, can be used for travel, can be used for purchase and other things also. It is picking up already in Delhi, Hyderabad, Mumbai, many places. And this is the trend also in terms of seamless transport. As I was asked to share some technologies, so I'm just giving you a glimpse of some technologies related to now transport sector. In transport sector, there are interactive roadmaps. If you look at the global picture, there are many different apps which will be able to give you fastest cycling routes. Not only the fastest vehicle route, but also the cycling route, because cities need to become low carbon. We need to encourage what is the fastest walkable route, fastest cycling routes, and some dedicated areas which is a no vehicle zone. Like the Rahagiri initiative has focused on no vehicle Sundays, no vehicle evenings, and those aspects which encourage people to come in. Automated vehicle location tracking, transit node management, real-time travel response. These are self-explanatory as the name suggests. Road condition system, the kinds of the peak traffic is there on this road, so you can avoid this and you can take away this diversion. So these kind of things is all about information, and again particular apps and systems to integrate it so that common man can have access to this information. Next is water infrastructure. Water infrastructure, the major focus should be to zero water discharge. Zero water discharge at a building level is easy. At a township level, maybe a little difficult, but city level, it will be all the more difficult. But we should try to move towards zero discharge so that this is the example from Gift City, where we can see the metering has been done, leak detection has been done, and it is based on the district metered areas, which is called DMA. You create a district and you control the water distribution in that area. You have leakage, you only stop the water in that particular district and you don't disturb the whole city. Means it is basic. District doesn't mean an actual district at a state level, but it is actually district means you are dividing into multiple 10 districts, let's say. So every district can be handled differently in terms of controls, metering, utility monitoring, leak detection, and a lot of aspects. This is the city which is able to treat almost 100% of the water and again reuse 80% of the water in this city. This is solid waste management. That is the automated collection, transportation, and segregation system. Very, very unique, which is there in Gift City, again in Gandhinagar. Why I'm showing some of the unique things, because I could find a lot of technologies have been done in Gift City. So you can see that they have a chute-based system. You drop your waste into this green bin or blue bin. It goes at a speed of 90 km/h and goes to a particular waste collection and distribution and management system place. As you can see the photograph, the waste is thrown into a disposal chute, computer-controlled access, waste sucked through pipes, and treatment through plasma gasification. It is not that everything is just gasified, everything is just burnt. It is actually getting distributed depending on the weight and the size and this which it can sense, and accordingly this waste gets segregated also. and finally it is used for either recycling or even giving to the recyclers, or converting to the manure. So power infrastructure, you can see this is the city where they have also looked at GIS based system, the gas insulated switch gears substation, which needs very less compact space. So first thing, it saves land area. Then it's more reliable, require minimal maintenance because it's hermetically sealed and prevents the pollution from entering. It has a lower life cycle costs also in terms of the whole life cycle. GIS they are arc resistant, fire resistant, intrusion and attack resistant. So this overall has got around 99.999% reliability, which means outage of around 5.3 minutes in a year. So that is the system which is implemented in Gift City. And then integrated utility network. This is a system where you have utility tunnels, like we have always seen our cities, where there is some different kind of infrastructure which are above the road level and something below the road level also. And many of them are failing at a multiple times. And we have been keeping on digging the roads. And in many places, we say in the country that इस देश में खुदाई चलती रहती है. खुदाई चलती रहती है means digging is continuously happening across the entire country. So this solution has been taken care in this project, where they have created dedicated lines. As you can see here, the DCS return, the district cooling system, the cool water is fed into through one system. Then there is solid waste is moving into one system. There is a treated water going in one line, rainwater harvesting and the tank and going to the one line. So they have got dedicated piped connections, and there's a trunk maintenance vehicle which can actually travel in this corridors. So these are the utility corridors on both sides of the road which are able to handle it. Not on both sides, sometimes it may be one side of the road which will be taking care of the whole thing. So and again, the district cooling system, this is a unique technology which is there in Gift City, where 240,000 TR total cooling load has been planned for this whole city. And they have, you can see there is DCS 1, 2, 3, 4. They are in phase wise, they are able to handle this entire provision of the chilled water. Because generally, if every building starts installing the chillers and then trying to meet the air conditioning requirement, it may not be the it may not give the same impact. So that's why, to address the economies of scale and look at a larger city level, this district cooling is the best example in the country today, which is implemented. Citywide Wi-Fi and fiber-based network. Like you can see that how the fiber ring has been planned, how the fault tolerant, scalable, and the quality of service is enabled. And you can see this lamp post, where you will be having the ducts, and it will take care of all the surveillance camera, Wi-Fi equipment, lamp post. You can have multiple in kind of emergency. If you want to coordinate with the city management authority directly, you can talk at the voice system, the public address system or the voice management system at this post, and you can be saved in the situations of crimes and situation of like the floods and many other things. So now these lamp posts itself are going multi-purpose. They are having more sensors, and they are more integrated also, addressing the security as well. So the citywide sensors establishing the nervous system today, smart grid sensors, pollution sensors. You can see there are air pollution sensors. Like today, if I can quote, like I was in Chandigarh for my education, so I could see that as you go to Sukhna Lake, we can see there are the sensors which are actually across the city, but the monitoring system has been put in Sukhna Lake. So when people are walking, they can actually see what is the air quality levels in different parts of the city. So today we need these kind of a sensors to be installed, more of information, so that people see whether the AQI is between 0 to 50, which is good. 50 to 100 is satisfactory. So we should try to have 0 to 50. In your cities also, please ensure, if you are looking at those air quality sensors, what is the air quality today in your cities. And in COVID, we have the 20 most polluted cities in the world. But I would say during COVID, none of these 20 cities were there as polluted, where they're in the top 20. We have completely revived. So the nature can revive itself automatically, but we have to stop pollution. We have to stop polluting air, stop polluting water, and automatically the nature will take care of it, and it can it can come to the normalize the conditions. So leak and theft detection sensors, wastewater sensors, smart water. So there can be a number of different sensors which will be able to handle it. And then city integration operation center. This is the key actually. If you say the war room, these all the integrated command control centers, around 58 of them were there during COVID actually. It said they are the war rooms to address the city level containment, city level, lot of challenges they were handling. Today also these integrated command control centers are addressing the city level traffic management, city level surveillance, GIS and BIM, and many of the facilities which the city administration is providing. Predictive intelligence, simulation and modeling, SOPs and decision making has been embedded into it. We are working with Pune, Pimpri, Chichwa, Rajkot, so we could get into detail of each one of them and can see how they are actually doing it. City portal, the real-time information availability to citizens. I think in future, this real-time information availability to citizens, these 6 words will be the key to say this is a smart city. Real-time information. What is the present condition of air, water, and the supply infrastructure, the power cuts, the if we are more predictive and we can give the real-time information, we will be more well prepared. Then dashboards. Second thing is the dashboards should be there, which actually should say how many are faulty, where is the leakage, how many are working or how many is not working conditions, and what is the problem. Can we solve it within 24 hours or even less than 24 hours or less than 8 hours? So we have to look into those aspects. The green city approach focuses on eco-vision for a global green city, land use and built environment, and well-being, sustainable mobility, water energy infrastructure, and information and communication technology. So that can become a net zero city model where all the things need to be done implemented in a best way. I would say in a greenfield city, it is possible to become a green, smart, net zero city. In existing city, it is a little challenging, but we need a lot of information sharing and data compilation. So impact of digitalization has to be in the 3 layers. First is the planning and management, where we should lead with the vision. If our vision for power is 24/7 supply, I think we are not a world-class city. The vision for that city should not only be 24/7 power supply or reliable power supply. It has to say what percentage of the power will be generated from renewable energy. Can we bring it further down? We have reduced 20% of our power demand or 5% of our power demand. That kind of a city is actually setting up good measurable targets and goals. Similarly, infrastructure need to be built. People need to be well aware. So there's more, and it cannot be done through awareness programs. And just one awareness program cannot make the whole citizens aware. There need to be dedicated apps for the citizens. Smart cities in action. You can see these photographs. These are the photographs from the the smart cities of Government of India, where you can see they have been focused on smart poles, online services, intelligent traffic management. These are the things which are common across all the smart cities. And secondly, the connected communities. Though both the parts are important, smart cities as well as connected communities, because when the community engagement is more, then only they will consider the city as green or smart. Otherwise, if the common man is not agreed, they will never consider the city as a smart city. So for cities to become smart, people also have to be actively engaged by the management. There have to be different ways to make them engaged and smart. So it has to be smarter by design. As you can see the photographs, where India's new cities need to be smarter by design. The last point that I want to mention in this slide is it has to be smart by design. Smarter design for climate. It has to be designed well for the climate. The facilitate the cooling breezes. Cool breezes should flow across the city in particular seasons and whenever possible to address the heat stress which is there in cities. Embrace the profuse vegetation. There had to be focus on urban biodiversity, urban forestry, urban agriculture in the master plans and the future existing cities. Smarter planning has to be done, addressing the transport, land, food, and many of the aspects. Smarter urbanism has to be there. So we can, when we go to this IT parks, we always love those environment where there's a good water body, people are sitting around it, people are walking around it. They say this is the best infrastructure. Why not make this at a city level where we have large water bodies? I think the ministry has already thought about it, and the discussion is going on to create many more artificial water bodies. And these artificial water bodies will be the buckets for our city. If we don't have our buckets, and our buckets are filled with solid waste, our buckets are filled with sediments and silt, and they are never cleaned, then these buckets will not be able to take our water and will be flooded in many parts of the cities. So these buckets are basically the artificial water bodies need to be created or existing need to be rejuvenated. Smarter green buildings and spaces. Definitely there will be buildings which will be also contributing to a lot of emissions. How we can make them low carbon. As the discussion today is more on infrastructure, you will be hearing from IGBC in the future webinars related to the green, how we can make it net zero buildings also, because buildings also need to become green and net zero. And then smarter implementation. Finally, there has to be more partnerships, more advice, design advisory. There has to be more PPPs, more collaborations, and there need to be a mutually we need to decide what works well for that city. And it will not be one size fit all, which we can adopt and take it for all the cities. It is every city is very unique in nature. Smart for people. Finally, it has to be community engagement, tradition of the city need to be restored, and then only we should focus on all the aspects. If we talk about Varanasi, we know it has a history of thousands and thousands of years. So how we can address every city differently, including the core city and the larger city, and if there are some satellite cities coming up, it need to be addressed differently. So sustainable cities are going to address many of the present day challenges, but they may produce a lot of solutions also. So AI, I would like to say that AI can be the key to a future of sustainable infrastructure, because what is the ability of AI and machine learning is to recognize patterns. But to recognize patterns, first we need to collectively put all the patterns and the details and the readings and details. Then only it can create some patterns and give some input outputs, right? So for that, I think there is a lot of exercise needed for SCADA-based metering for the energy, water, city-level monitoring, and that integrated command control center is, I think, that the best initiative to start focusing on collecting data. And when we have data, then we know how the city has been in last 5 years, what has been the major problems in the city, or how the city is behaving. Like when we go to doctor, we do a lot of tests, and then only the doctor prescribes the medicine, right? So same thing here. AI can only do when there are a lot of tests done in terms of the patterns and what works well and what doesn't work well need to be analyzed, and then only it can work. So early warning systems for resilient grids, AI assisted decision making is the key. In future, there will be a lot of AI will give a lot of solutions, and then out of A, B, C, D, we will take, let's say, B as the solution. So this need to happen. To address this, there's a lot of data driven decision making required. Fast track the green and low carbon, and most importantly, me and you and a large team also cannot fight with climate change. Only AI can fight with climate change, that is, and with a head on, and reach a greener future or low carbon future. So it's all the more important that we focus more on data analytics, collecting the data and put it in a correct way. If we put it into the AI intelligent softwares, it will be able to give the details. I think government of India has already focused on now GIS based master plan, like where is my tree, where is my water body, and what is the conditions in terms of live viewing, and things are already in place now. I think these are very, very important, where we have a street level data, building level data, vegetation level data, and then again integrated data, or there can be n number of different other layers also in the GIS based master plan. So this is things actually already initiated in the country. Things are in the right place now. And smart living, ultimately, if there is a smart people, then only we have a smart city. So video integration in terms of the various city infrastructure, face-to-face integration, call centers, and then there need to be a lot of other measures need to be taken care in terms of the single window clearances, urban planning. I think urban planning need to be done at a greater detail level, not only based on the past experiences, but we need to consider future and then do the planning now, because a lot of times we have been discussing that we need to plan based on the past events and the challenges, but I think the future challenges will be even more difficult. So these are some of the smart infrastructure solutions, like the city safety and security. What are the areas like the digital signage, intelligent lighting systems? So digital signage is, what is digital signage? Like, the information should not be static. Like you print it, put it on a flex, and then show it to the citizens. I think that will not work. That is some 1990s or even before that 1980s thing. We have to have digital signage where immediate information can be shared across all the digital signage in the city, that this is the thing which is happening now. Please be part of it, or please be away from it. So all these kind of resilience measures is actually part of this smart infrastructure also. Virtual classrooms, content broadcasting, efficient buildings, power demand and supply management. This is, I think, the key, because if the power and the water is not there, I don't think the human beings can sustain. So there are 50 drivers of change or the global trends shaping the future of our cities that can lead us towards a smart and green future. So we need to focus on all the opportunities. Like somewhere can be policy integration where the government is involved. Something can be definitely, let's say, place-making initiative where the NGOs are involved and the common people are involved, and doing some exercise at a city level. So there are multi-stakeholder integration is required to make these cities green. The good news is that we are having some first-hand experiences when we are working with these green cities, as I mentioned today, where they have already started working in these areas. I can say out of the 50 drivers, at least 20 to 25 drivers, they are actually working right away in those green cities where we are working. So with this, I would like to just say that mantra for the coming decades is take the resilient and sustainable path, because these are the two sides of the coin. Like in a football match, there will be attack and defense. Similarly, our attack is sustainable and our defense is resilience, because we need to fight back our climate change also. And I would say for fight back climate change, our most important weapon is AI. So there also need to be addressed resilience, because we cannot say that in future the calamity happened, and in depending on that, or if it has not happened, it will not happen. It is not the case. So resilience and sustainable path need to be taken, and it's the only sure way forward for making the built environment responsive to climate change, or we can say we can create more climate resilient cities and carbon neutral cities in long way, which is also in the process. It will become once it address energy, water, waste, and most importantly carbon. So thank you so much. I will stop now and we'll take the questions if there are.
Thank you, Saurav. Thank you for that wonderful session. I think we have few questions from the participants. Any update in integration of green building with green clearances by MOEF?
Yes, I'll answer. I'll take some more questions if it is there. Okay.
Okay. How to get reliable AQI data of the city?
Okay. So let me answer this two first. Yeah. So first question, if we say talk about the single window clearance or fast track clearance, this has been there since a decade, more than a decade now, which is also on our website. If there are large projects, not like every project can get a fast track clearance from MOEF, but yes, if it's a large project, saying which is relevant to the state environment impact assessment requirements and the compliance requirements of the state, EIA, as we said, environmental impact assessment. So if it is need to comply with that, it can get a fast track clearance if it is a pre-certified by IGBC. So in that context, many of the large developments have gone ahead to achieve the pre-certification from IGBC. When it is a pre-certification, means the design and master plan is checked in terms of what has been planned as part of design. The inputs of urban designer, inputs of architects, and the different consultants have been taken into account, and then it is assessed, and then later on they come for certification during the operational phase. Yeah. And second question, I think the question on the air quality index. So AQI is also depends on some of the major factors, like where are the major like areas which is getting more polluted. Like this can be the major junctions in the city where the air quality may be bad. So we need to have identify not the green areas, not put the air quality index in a botanical garden in a city, but we need to put that air quality monitoring station spread across the entire city, so that at every 500 to 800 meter or 1 kilometer radius, we have at least air quality monitoring happening in the prime areas where there may be more pollution, maybe the traffic junctions where there be more pollution, or maybe somewhere close to some of the polluting industries or polluting utilities also. There are DG sets, or there are some larger equipments in the cities where they are placed. Citizens, there only we can place it. That is like where the city utilities are, we can place it there, and we need to be distributed across the entire city. That is the requirements basically. And then we can take the average of it time to time, and then find out if there is something abnormal behavior. Let's say suddenly it is shooting beyond 150, where it has to be within 50 or within 100. So why it is happening? So to identify why it is happening, first we should know it is happening. So for that, there need to be monitoring stations, and there are cities. Sometimes we just put 3 monitoring stations and say the city is monitoring air. I think that is not the correct way of monitoring air. It need to be there has to be a logic why we have put those monitoring stations there, and what is the statistics and the trends. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, there is a couple of questions more. Any work going on utilizing seawater for cooling city or plant near sea?
Yes, seawater for cooling, like desalinated water, which can be used for your requirements, non-potable applications. That is initiated in Chennai. There is some work, and some of the cities have planned it as a third option, or the tertiary, not the tertiary, but the as a substitute, or as the option they have kept it for future, because it is very, very cost intensive in terms of addressing the desalination of water. Like we understand that waste to energy is cost intensive. Similarly, desalination is also quite cost intensive, and to have that plant installed. So in the coastal areas, I think in future that is only the option available if we are not addressing the surface water, which is needs very less treatment cost, and we can convert that into for the non-potable applications. So if that completely goes away and we are not left with much of surface water, lakes, ponds, we have to depend on that cost intensive desalinated water also. Yeah. Next question.
Any study on the costs of capital investments? And a couple of questions. How to take local developments from university levels to the right place using IGBC support?
Okay. Cost for desalination?
Capital investments.
Capital investment. I think I would say I have to check this details, because the details are continuously changing based on the new technologies coming up. Some technologies may be costing less also. So I don't want to give a number now, because it will give a wrong perception that it is either costly or cheaper. So we'll park this question later. We'll try to address it to the individual. If they can write to me, I will drop my email ID there. So we'll try to write separately based on the some examples that we have. Yeah, and one more question on institutions. How they
IGBC can support that?
Yeah, IGBC can definitely support institutions. Most importantly, I think the institutions are based in those cities, and there have been many PhDs, many research documents, many things which have been already done by those academia and the institutions. So IGBC works on the concept of green cities when we are working with the corporation, but it is not that corporation need to give everything. We actually generally involve the academia also if some studies and research happened. If there is an industry which is interested to implement some measures, that is also addressed. So we'll be happy to engage with the academia institutions if there is some specific city level challenge, and if we can join hands to solve that, we'll be happy to do that. And yes, and there can be MOUs and other things also if there is a very focused approach related to water or waste or anything. Or if it's a holistic, we can involve you in the green cities approach wherever we are present here. Yeah. So if there's no other questions, I can wrap it up. You can let me know.
So I think that's all for the day, Saurav. So thank you for attending the webinar. So we'll meet tomorrow discussing on the net zero topic as planned for the week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm dropping my details in the chat box. You can write.